Welcome back to Track Talk. As you can probably tell, we're going to be doing something a little bit different in this video. Obviously, this is not a screen share. I'm actually using a real camera to record. And what I'd like to do in this video is basically just go through my collection and decide what I'm going to keep and what I'm going to get rid of. I'll be moving soon, and I've got too many games to move with all of them, so I figured if I'm going to do this, I might as well do it on camera. Maybe somebody will find it interesting to look at some rarer games. With that said, we're not going to start with the rare games. We're going to start with kind of the uh, mass market games. And the first one is actually a game that I have tried to get rid of multiple times and keeps finding its way back into my collection as a result of people giving to me as gifts. So, despite my best efforts, Monopoly Deal is the first game in the collection for the purposes of this video. It is not a good game, one that I've been forced to play too many times, and one that I will certainly be discarding once again. I think I've owned this 3 times now, and it keeps finding its way back. So this one is going in the garbage. The next game is also a game that many of you will be familiar with, and another mass market game, Scrabble. This is one of the few games I can get to play with my wife, so it will definitely be actually staying in the collection. This is a pretty well-worn copy. It's starting to fall apart and that kind of thing, but I will enjoy it for years to come, so it's definitely staying. The third and final mass market game, so to speak, that I have in my collection is Carcassonne. And in this box, we have a couple of the expansions, as many as I could fit. This is another game that I get to play from time to time with more casual board gamers. It's one that I enjoy. I think there's a surprising amount of strategy for, what it does. So it will also be staying. I've had this game for, I don't know, probably close to 10 years. So definitely going to be making another move with me. The next game is not a mass market game, but is kind of a Euro game. I don't have too many of them in my collection. It's Tricarion, probably my favorite Euro game that I've ever played. And the collector's edition tends to have quite a few expansions in it. It's really kind of a complicated package. I don't believe I've ever played some of the expansions, but I have gotten a lot of use out of the base game and love having the collector's edition. It's a huge box. It doesn't really show it on the screen, but it is a wonderful theme, great component quality, definitely one that I'll be keeping with me. We're going to switch gears here and go into a different category of games. I've been introduced these games as narrative mystery games. I think the most common or famous game in this category would be Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective. And I have a similar game called Mythos Tales, which is a Lovecraftian take on that series or system. I've played about half of the mysteries in this box, and I'm working my way through it. The problem with this class of games is that once you play a mystery, you've kind of exhausted its fun. So this will eventually be leaving my collection potentially before I move, but I do have about half of the mysteries to get through, so it's not quite ready to go yet. Along lines of this category, I also have an interesting thing to show you, and that is a vintage Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective game called Adventures by Gaslight. This is one of the few cases that hasn't been reprinted in the modern editions by Space Cowboys and Istari. It is in shrink. This is a massive game. It takes, I think, several sessions to make it through this case, and I've just been waiting for the right time to open this up and play it. I have played all of the modern editions and all the cases in them, so that's like murder. I think the Thames Street's Murders is the yellow box, which was the first one to come out. So I've played all 4 of those boxes, and I'm waiting to play through this one. Just haven't gotten around to it yet, but looking forward to it. It has some pretty good reviews. There are a number of fan-made Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective cases, and I have done a few of those, but once I exhaust this one, I think I'm gonna have to go back through the fan cases because I'm gonna be kind of out of material. And then that brings us to the final game in this category, and this is one that I imagine most people will not have seen or heard of before, and it is Gumshoe. This game came out in the 80s. It was made by Sleuth, and it is another massive, massive game. It takes several days or a week plus of play to make it through these cases. And the difficult part about these cases is that they all kind of intertwine with one another. So with Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective, if you're familiar with that, later cases can refer back to newspapers from the earlier cases, and that is taken to a much higher degree in Gumshoe. So it's something that you really have to devote the time to sitting down and doing it all at once. Or otherwise, you're going to forget what's happened before, and you'll be kind of up a creek. So I have in the past sat down and played the first game or first day of this game, but I have not set aside the time to really go through it all. I would be excited to do it, but it's going to have to wait for probably a milestone birthday or a bachelor party or something for me to have the time to actually do it. Um, One of the channels that I've enjoyed on YouTube is called Co-op for Two, and he has a playthrough of this game, I believe, on his channel. So I've been trying to avoid spoiling myself, but that would be another option is just to watch him play through it. I'll link his channel in the comments. He has a lot of really great content and has really gotten me into this genre of games. But yeah, Gumshoe, pretty rare. Definitely something I'm going to be keeping. I guess I lost track of things for a second. I'm keeping all three of those games, Mythos Tales, Adventures by Gaslight, and Gumshoe. And that will conclude our little detour into narrative mystery detective games. The next small category of games in my collection is kind of a broad category. It's not a very useful category, I'd say, but it's going to be something I call GMT war games. The first one is Virgin Queen. Virgin Queen is the, I guess, newest take on Here I Stand, or a related game to Here I Stand. I've played Here I Stand, I believe, twice and enjoyed it. I have not actually played my copy of Virgin Queen yet, just for lack of interest in local players, but I'd love to get it played. I think I will hold on to this one. It's hard to get it to the table, but I'd love to do so. So I'm going to hold on to this one, which is something I probably will not be able to say for the other games in this category of my collection. So those two games, and I'm just going to present them simultaneously, are two coin games. So we have Liberty or Death, and then we have Pendragon. And I picked these titles up when I was buying a group of 18xx games, and I saw these, and I said, well, I guess I'm here. I might as well pick them up. And I was excited for them at the time, but this was a year or two ago, and they've just sat on my shelf since then. Pendragon isn't even opened. So I think that these two games are going to be joining Monopoly Deal in the discard pile. I can't really comment much on them. I'm sure they're great games. I just haven't got them played and don't really see myself doing so. Not really doing too good of a job of culling games so far. I think we're only up to 3 games and we've kept everything else, but we'll see how that changes as I continue. Next up, I'll go through my few Avalon Hill games and related games. First will be actually Dune, and this is the oldest version that I could get my hands on. I like the Dune IP and the books, and I like old games, so I figured why not pick this one up. I have played it once, and I actually didn't really enjoy it. So this is another game that I think will be going in my discard pile. Not saying it's a bad game, just one that I have a hard time getting played, and the one play of it I had was not particularly enjoyable. So that one is going to be discarded. Next Avalon Hill game is actually Republic of Rome. This is a historical simulation game with a lot of negotiation. It's kind of very rough around the edges. Its rulebook is very lengthy, and at least as written in the original copy, has a lot of oversights and redundancy and inconsistencies. Just hard to learn, hard to play. There are living rules which have addressed a lot of the issues in the original rules description. which make the game flow a little bit nicer. I have played Republic of Rome, I believe, one time. I obviously have not played this copy of it since it's in shrink, but I am very excited to play it again and am actively looking for opportunities to do so. So this will definitely be staying, and I would be excited to break the shrink on this original Avalon Hill version of it in order to get it played. Um, the next game is actually not an Avalon Hill game, but it is somewhat related to Republic of Rome, so I'm including it here. And this is a game called Founding Fathers. There are two games by this name. I have not done any investigation into the other game with this name, but this one is very intriguing to me. I have not played it. I have read through all the rules, and I would love to play it. So it will be staying, at least for the foreseeable future, because I hope to get it played soon. The next game is a favorite of mine, but it is a little bit hard to categorize with respect to the rest of my collection, so it's going to stand on its own. This is Pax Pamir. This is the only Cull Whirly game I currently own. In the past, I've owned other Pax games and other games of his, but Pax Pamir is the only one that's managed to stay, and it's now been with me through two moods. So it's certainly going to be staying with me. I think it's an excellent game. It's relatively quick. The teach is not too bad. I don't think you can play it with non-board gamers, but with most even moderately engaged board gamers, you can get it to the table, and it's a beautiful production. Uh, Other Cull Whirly games I've kind of bounced off of. Root does a lot of things that I don't like. I don't love having to learn, 6 different games in order to play that properly, because you have to learn all the different factions, nuances. And then John Company 2, I owned briefly, played it, I believe, twice, and ended up letting go. So can't say I love that one. I had also played the first edition, and that one I think was a little bit more enjoyable for me, but that style of game just wasn't something that resonated. So Pax Pamir is staying, but the rest of the Pax series and Cull's games have already left. The next category of games that I'm going to go through is the largest category in my collection outside of 18xx. You'll know immediately what it is as soon as I show you the first game. And this is where you'll begin to realize that I really do have a collection in the sense that I own games that I may not actually play. So I wanted to own basically all the games from this developer or designer, and I've been slowly working my way towards that. I certainly have not played all of these games, and some of them may never be played. The first game is Bus, so I think you can tell that the category is going to be Splotter games. Bus is probably one of the more approachable Splotters for the average gamer, and it's one that I quite enjoy. It will definitely be staying. I was happy to pick up this reprint edition since I like the artwork and the component quality compared to the OG Splotter version. Had this for a while, played it a couple times, will continue to hopefully play it frequently. So that's the first Splotter. Moving along, this is my maybe all-time favorite Splotter. Hard to rank them really, and that is the Great Zimbabwe. Another relatively short, relatively approachable Splotter. Awesome theme, really deep strategy. A lot of people play this game online, so it makes it easier to get plays in. My physical copy has been played a couple times, not as many as I'd like, but definitely will also be staying with me. Keeping right along here, we will get to a little bit of a rarer Splotter game, and that is Duck Dealer. You can tell this is in shrink, one that I have not played, and one that I may frankly never play. But again, I just wanted to have a lot of the Splotters, so one that I picked up when I found it for fairly cheap. I will be keeping this. I don't know if I'll keep it forever, but for the time being, it's brings me joy to have it on the shelf. So staying with me. I have played this next game, even though it is still in shrink, and this is Indonesia. I'm trying to keep these oriented properly for the screen. Indonesia is a great game. It's a little bit of a mix of 18xx type game, as well as a more classic Splotter. The map in this version is beautiful. I believe the components in the second edition are the ones that are too large for the map. I haven't actually played this version of it. I've played it online. I've played other people's versions. I'd be happy to pop this one open for the right group. Just haven't happened yet, and definitely something that I want in my collection. So it's going to be staying with me. The next game, still Splotter, is probably my least favorite Splotter, and that is Antiquity. Antiquity is a huge game, super fiddly with all the little chits and stuff on the map that you have to manipulate. I did not enjoy it. I've only played it, I believe, twice, and this copy has been played. It's one that I'd be probably tempted to get rid of if it wasn't a major Splotter. But because it is, and because I'm something of a collector, I'll be keeping it for now. But if there comes a time when I really have to downsize my collection, this would be on the short list to go. The next Splotter is probably their second most popular and most mainstream, and that is Food Chain Magnet. I have played this copy a few times. I actually made a pretty nice insert for it at some point. It's not my favorite Splotter, but it's good enough to stay. I don't have the expansion, which I want to say is called the Ketchup Mechanic or something like that. It was very expensive. If I see it used, maybe I'll pick it up someday. But for now, base Food Chain is adequate for the amount of play it gets. So it will be staying. The latest Splotter at the time of this recording is Horseless Carriage. I have seen Horseless Carriage played. I'd be excited to try it. But as you can see, my copy is currently in shrink, so I haven't played it yet. I probably will keep it for a couple of reasons. One, because I do want to play it eventually, and two, because it is a Splotter, and I'm, as I've mentioned, trying to maintain that in my collection. We're getting to the end of my Splotters, not quite there yet. Next one is kind of the big daddy, so big in fact that it may not fit all the way on the screen. A game that has to be up there for some of the worst cover art ever, and that's Rows and Boats. As you can see, this is the, I guess, latest printing or anniversary edition. It is in shrink. I've never played it. It's a massive game. I think that with the right group, I would like to play it. I'm going to keep it for now, but this is another one that would be on my short list to go if I had to seriously downsize my collection. For now, we'll keep it, but not up there for one of my favorites. And that will bring us to my final Splotter game, and I left it for last, not because it's the worst, or not because it's the best even, but because it's a nice transition to the rest of my collection, which is 1830 BC. So this is the 18XX made by Splotter. I've played this once. I didn't think it was very good, but it's going to stay because it's kind of rare and it's a Splotter. So we will use this as a transition point to the majority of my collection, which is going to be basically exclusively 18XX from here on out. My 18XX collection is just that, a collection. So I've played a good amount of it, but there are definitely games in it that I own just for the sake of owning and kind of enjoying looking at. I'm not going to have it organized in any real rational fashion, but I will start with the beginning, which is literally the beginning of 18XX, 1829. This is the first 18XX published. It's 40-something years old at this point. This copy is in great condition. I've never played it. I probably never will, but I like having it just for the historical aspect of it. I want to kind of keep it in good condition and eventually preserve it. Maybe someday there'll be a board game museum or something that will want it. So I've enjoyed having it. I'm not opposed to playing it. I haven't heard great things about 1829, but I would definitely try it with the right group. The next one is 1829 again. This is the Northern Board. So this was published after the last box. This one is also in excellent condition and also one that I have not played and don't anticipate playing anytime in the near future. But both of these will be staying in my collection because of their historical value and just because I like having them. So you would think that we're done with 1829, but in fact, we are not. There is yet more 1829 in my collection, and I'll show you that here. We have 1829 Mainline. This is a much newer game than the original 1829s and is supposed to have taken some of the rough edges from the original 1829 and made it into a more enjoyable experience. I obviously have not played this since it's in shrink, and I don't know that I ever will. The reason I have 1829 Mainline is because it actually was sold recently containing an expansion for another 18xx, which we'll get to shortly. So I picked that up for this reason. But interestingly, I actually have two copies of 1829 Mainline. This one's open. I bought 1829 Mainline a couple of years ago, and then I had to buy this copy to get the expansion that it contains. So yeah, I have two. There's no reason for me to have two. I will definitely be discarding at least one of these during the move. So that will be another one in the discard bin. The expansion that I was alluding to is for none other than 1825, another Tresham 18XX design. And 1825 is interesting because it actually is a massive game. It came out over the course of about a decade, and it expands. So you have your map from 1825 Unit 1, and you can attach that to Unit 2 and Unit 3, which I also own. I have played Unit 1, but not any of the rest of 1825. And there are a number of other than units, but like smaller expansions for 1825, one of which was contained in that 1829 board, which is the reason I purchased it. So I actually own everything for 1825 at this point and would be excited to play the full game at some point, which would be kind of a colossal undertaking. All three of these are going to be staying with me. I own a lot of this system, so I might as well stick with it and hope to play it more in the future. The next Tresham game is 1835, one with, I guess, mixed reviews, I would say. Not one I've played, but one that I'll be keeping just because it's old and I want to own all of Tresham's games. So definitely one that will be staying in the collection for this move. The final Tresham 18XX game I have is, of course, the GOAT 18XX in general, and that is 1830. So this is a more recent printing of it, the Lookout Games printing, a little bit controversial in terms of its graphic design, but still plays just as well as any of the other printings. It is actually not the only 1830 I own, so you're starting to see a trend here where I own things for the sake of having them. I have a original Avalon Hill 1830. You may have wondered why this wasn't included in the Avalon Hill section of this video, and it's a good question. I guess it could have gone there, but this is a original printing of 1830. It's still in shrink, in really very good condition, and I own it because I wanted to own a piece of history of 18XX. I will never open this or play this copy, but I have my other copy for that purpose, and it has been played a number of times. I will be planning to keep both of these in my collection. I'm going to lump the next three games together because they are all 18XX games that depart from the traditional train theme. They otherwise are really not very similar. The first is 1761. This is a game that I have not played, but it would be very interested in playing. I otherwise don't know a whole lot about the mechanics, but I would be excited to read the rulebook and learn a little bit more about it, hopefully sooner than later. This one will be staying with me at least until I play it once. Because I want to be able to form an opinion about it. The next one is Poseidon. Poseidon is 18XX with a different theme, obviously. This is one of the Lonnie games, also with Helmut Oli. I've played this once, didn't really enjoy it. I will probably hold on to it just because it's an oddball 18XX, but I don't know that I would keep it otherwise. Don't have much else to say about it. And then the final one is 2038, and this is 18XX in space. Does a lot of different things compared to your standard 18xx in terms of how the map is kind of built and how you interact with it. I've only played it once. I'd like to play it again, and because it's an odd one and kind of rare, it will be staying in my collection as well. Really not doing a good job of discarding so many games, am I? Keeping most of them. Continuing right along, we have 1880 China. This is the newest printing of it, still in shrink. I have played 1880 China a number of times, both in person and online. It's a game that I enjoy. It is on the longer side, but I think that it does a lot of things that other 18Xs don't. And I think that it's one that I will enjoy to continue exploring. So this will be staying in my collection. Continuing along with the Lonnie games, we're going to be getting to a combined title, and I have not played this one, and I have not heard great things about it. So if I were to discard some 18xx, this would be near the top of the list. And I think I probably will be getting rid of this one during this move. That brings us to 1824, another Lonnie game. I have also played this one and enjoyed it. I have not played it online, but I have played this copy, and I will be keeping this one. The final, I think, Lonnie game that I have is 18CZ. This one is still in shrink. Have not played this one that I can recall. I have heard kind of mixed things, or at least trending positive things about it, so I will be keeping it at least until I can play it at least once. This game, some of you will probably be surprised to see in my collection because I've been kind of harsh and critical of it on the channel. It's 18 India, one of the Trax games, and the first of the GMT 18XX games we'll be going through. I've given this game more than its fair shake. I've played it a number of times physically, also played it online, reviewed it on the channel. I just don't like it. It's definitely gone. So I'll be reducing my collection by one that way. Next one is 1846. Haters be damned, 1846 is staying. It's a game that a lot of people like. It's one that is easy to get other people to play. It's one that I tolerate and don't hate, so easy decision to keep this one. And then the final GMT 18XX that I have is 1862. This is obviously a heavier one that hasn't been on the channel yet, but I hope to bring it to the channel someday soon. I think it's a good one that will definitely be staying in my collection. The next two games are by Grand Trunk Games, and they are relatively new productions. Both have very high production value and are beautiful games. The first is 1889. I owned one of the old copies of 1889, which I discarded and sold when this one came out, just because it looks so pretty. I've played my copy several times. This may be one of my most played physical 18xx games, and it's held up very well. This is definitely staying. I think it's a great way to introduce players to 18xx, and it's one I just enjoy playing myself. The next one is the first game that I believe Grand Trunk Games published, and that is the combo 1861-1867. I have played this, at least 1861. I believe, well, I don't remember, maybe 2, 3 times. And it's okay. I don't love it. I do need to get this one on the channel at some point, since I know it's pretty popular. 61 and 67, I'm speaking about it in general. So this one will be staying. I think it occupies a similar space as 89 in terms of getting players into the genre, and it's also a very nicely produced copy. And how can you argue with keeping a game that's 2 games in one box? I mean, that's just efficiency. So both of those will be staying with me. This is 18 Ireland. Obviously, I haven't played this copy, which is still in shrink, but I've played a number of times online. I think this is a very good 18xx, one that I will definitely be keeping in the hopes that I will have the opportunity to play it in person in the near future. Next one is also one of my more played 18xx's, and that is 1849. 1849 is here published by All Aboard Games. Very nice component quality, just a beautiful production, and one that I enjoy quite a bit. Have played this copy several times, as recently as a couple months ago, and will definitely be keeping. Another All Aboard Games is 1822 MX. This is one of the 22 games I have played, the other being 1822 Pacific Northwest. I think that I enjoyed Pacific Northwest quite a bit more than this one, even though I don't own Pacific Northwest. Maybe I'll be picking that up in the future. 22MX, however, probably will be leaving the collection, just not one that I was particularly enamored by. And the final all aboard games game that I own is The Monster 1817. 1817 is a great game, one that has been on the channel several times, one that I've played actually, I think exclusively online. I don't know that I've ever played my physical copy of it, but I will be holding on to it in the hopes that I have the opportunity to do so. It is hard to get to the table live just because of its length, but who knows? Maybe pigs will fly and it'll happen soon. And that'll bring us to the final 5 games in the collection. The first one is another monster. It's 1841. This is obviously not a commercial copy of the game. It's one that I printed from some files that were floating around on Discord. It was a real labor of love making this game. It is a good game. It's just another one that's very hard to get to the table because of its length and complexity. Because I physically made this one myself, it's definitely staying in my collection. And it's also just a good enough game to warrant a spot in basically any 18XX collection. Moving on, we have 2 kind of related games. The first is 1870, great game by Bill Dixon, one that's been on the channel a number of times, one that I've played online a number of times, and this copy has seen a fair amount of use as well. The second one is his other game, or one of his other games, 1856, and by virtue of it being in shrink, I think you can tell my thoughts on the relative worth of these 2 games. 1856, I believe I played it once or twice. Don't really love it. 56 maybe leaving my collection in this move. But 1870 is definitely worth keeping. That brings us to the final 18XX in the collection, and this one is the Monster of Monsters. It is none other than 18OE. 18OE is a pretty rare one, and it is just physically enormous. This box has a little bit of damage to it. Unfortunately, I bought it used, and I've never actually been able to play this physical version. And to my knowledge, it's not really available online. Maybe there's a tabletop simulator mod that I'm unaware of, but it is very hard to get this game played just because of its size. Definitely one I'll be keeping in the hope of playing at some point, maybe at a convention sometime. But for now, we'll be sitting on the shelf of shame. So that is the final 18XX game in the collection, but not the final game in the collection. I actually forgot about this one when I was going through the non-18XXs on the first run through. And you'll see why in a moment. It's because it's small and odd. We are talking about none other than Hive Pocket. Hive is a great abstract game. One that I enjoy. I'm very bad at chess, but I can sit down and play Hive much quicker and don't have to deal with people that have studied chess ad nauseum to kick my butt every time. So Hive is definitely one that I'll be keeping. It literally fits in my pocket, so I don't even have to pack it, and it's a very good game. But that brings me to the end of the collection and near to the end of this video. By my count, that brings us through 55 boxes. Obviously not quite 55 games since I have at least 2 duplicates. And I'm definitely going to be discarding 6 of them, and there's a few that I'm still a little bit on the fence about. So almost a 10% turnover, not terrible. Definitely the collection has gotten a little bloated over the years. I'm trying to keep it under control, but what can you say? There's some of these games are just too rare to pass up when you see them on an auction. Yeah, so hopefully this was a fun video. Definitely not as intense as some of the videos that I've been putting out recently, but just a fun way to look at some beautiful games. Thanks for watching.